This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Open door. Nova Scotia invites companies to explore for uranium in the province. Next step, Halifax moves ahead with downtown Dartmouth's Heritage District. And a garden project in Donkin helps fight food insecurity in Cape Breton.
Another beautiful day shaping up for Thursday. In fact, temperatures will be even warmer. All the details are coming up.
The Nova Scotia government is opening bids for uranium exploration at 3 sites. It's another step toward mining for the element after the province repealed a uranium ban this spring. But as Taryn Grant reports, the steps taken so far are just the beginning of what could be a long journey.
Natural Resources Minister Tory Rushton says it's time for Nova Scotia to find out its uranium potential.
It could lead to economic benefit. It could lead to an opportunity for Nova Scotia. If the quantity is not high enough or the quality is not high enough, it will certainly educate the local areas about what is in their ground.
The province says it knows of 3 areas with uranium deposits: Louisville in Pictou County, East Dalhousie in Annapolis County, and Millitbrook in Hants County. Companies can apply for exploration permits in other areas, but for these 3, the province is putting out a call to interested bidders to be vetted by Rushton's department.
They need to be responsible groups that are coming with an expertise in uranium, which is why we want to do the RFP process versus just opening it up.
The land is mostly private. Rushton says his department is now reaching out to affected landowners who will have to give exploration companies their approval.
We would encourage the conversations to take place, but at the end of the day, the private landowner does have the rights of their private land.
This is one step of many the province has taken in recent months, striving to speed up resource development. For uranium, the first step was lifting prohibitions on exploration and mining that had been in place for 4 decades. The door is now open, but how long could it be before we see an active uranium mine in Nova Scotia?
Decades, maybe a decade, or at least a decade in terms of doing all the development work, the permitting, and raising funds. But each project is different, and each project can advances at a different pace.
NDP leader Claudia Chender says in the meantime, she's looking for more details.
And in the meantime, we have no idea how landowners, Indigenous communities, Mi'kmaq rights holders will be consulted along the way. So we leave with as many questions as we came in with.
Rushton added uranium to the province's list of critical minerals, as well as silica, silver, and tellurium. Being on the list opens up more funding opportunities, among other benefits. Taryn Grant, CBC News, Halifax.
Nova Scotia RCMP have arrested a man following an emergency alert to residents in Lunenburg County to shelter in place on Wednesday afternoon. Police issued the alert about suspect Richard McGuinness just before 1 p.m. People in Lower Northfield were asked to lock their doors and windows and to not leave a secure location because he was potentially armed and dangerous. Police shut down roads and patrolled the area with guns for a portion of the afternoon. An RCMP helicopter also aided in the search. Police eventually found and safely arrested McGuinness just after 2 p.m. It was an emotional third day at the Adam Drake murder trial. Family and friends of Pat Stay watched a video of his final moments. Drake is accused of killing the battle rapper in September of 2022 in downtown Halifax. Blair Rhodes reports.
Family and friends of Pat Stay gasped and broke into quiet sobs as they watched a video of his final moments. It was played at the second-degree murder trial of the man accused of killing him. The video was extracted from a security camera at a downtown Halifax bar, the Yacht Club Social. It was very early on the morning of September 4th, 2022. According to the Crown, Adam Drake had been at the club since about 10:30 that evening. Pat Stay arrived just after midnight and made his way to the VIP section at the back of the bar, where Drake was positioned. The encounter is brief, about 1:41 seconds. 2 men stand toe-to-toe in the center of the bar. One has been identified as Stay. The Crown says the other one is Drake. There's a stabbing motion. Pat Stay crumples to one side and is sucker punched by another man. He then gets up and stumbles out of range of the camera. He makes it outside where he collapses to the ground. As the video played, members of the gallery swore at Drake. Justice Scott Norton ordered the hecklers from the courtroom and told sheriffs one of them was banned and could not return. The judge had earlier warned people he would not tolerate any public displays like this one. Sergeant Perry Astafam was the first witness to testify and also the first senior officer to arrive on the scene the night of the stabbing. He told court he was unhappy with what he saw, with people milling around in the bar, including walking through the trail of blood. Astafam agreed with Drake's lawyer that the situation was chaotic. The last witness of the day was one of the first officers to respond to the scene after the call for help. Constable Joshua Sutton says he performed first aid on Pat Stay and rode with him in the ambulance to the hospital, staying until he was pronounced dead. Blair Rhodes, CBC News, Dartmouth.
Nova Scotia Power is preparing to send letters to customers affected by a recent cybersecurity breach. In the company's latest update today, it says it is still working to determine how much information was taken. But it has confirmed that in some cases, customer files were accessed, including names, dates of birth, banking information, social insurance numbers, and other details. The company has not said how many customers that includes and has declined to give interviews about the situation. It says customers who receive a letter in the mail will be offered 2 years of free credit monitoring from TransUnion. Well, another beautiful day in Nova Scotia, and here to tell us more about the weather is Ryan Snoddon. Ryan.
Yeah, that's right. Boy, I mean, temperatures got up into the 20s today. Just a fantastic day. Now, cooler, of course, in those onshore west to southwest winds, but let's have a look at those highs. And again, notably cooler, places like Canso, Sydney at 13, Western Head at 12. But you can see how widespread those temperatures into the 20s were, and it's going to be even warmer, as I said off the very top of the show, even warmer for Thursday. We're looking at temperatures that are going to be ranging between 22 and 26 across most of the province. Now, again, a west to southwest flow, which won't be quite as gusty as today, will be underway, so we will see a bit cooler the Tri-County area, right along the Atlantic coastline, into the Cobequid Bay area, and also coastal Cape Breton. Now, we are tracking a front, which will bring us back to reality here, but there's Thursday. We'll see a bit of cloud cover kicking up into the afternoon, but a brighter forecast than things were looking 24 hours ago. There's the front that will shift the winds to northeasterly throughout the day on Friday. That will usher in that cooler air throughout Friday and certainly into Saturday. A bit of a reality check. Saturday not looking so bad. Tom will break down your full weekend forecast coming up.
All right, do stay tuned for that. Thanks so much, Ryan.
Thank you.
A proposed heritage district for downtown Dartmouth is a step closer to reality. Halifax Regional Council approved the next phase of the process on Tuesday. People will soon get to weigh in on protections for the area. The CBC's Haley Ryan has that story.
Halifax is looking to protect the unique heritage of downtown Dartmouth for generations to come. A heritage conservation district is proposed for the area between Portland Street and the Dartmouth Common, south of Pine Street.
Like new buildings and having new architecture is great, but character is something that once it's gone, you realize that you've missed it. So yeah, being able to preserve like the brick and some of the older architecture from the 1800s is key to just like having character.
These districts protect specific areas by creating new rules around development, alterations, or demolition. The neighborhood has important heritage buildings like the old Dartmouth Post Office, Quaker House, and Christ Church. But the area councillor says the district's entire collection of buildings and character is also of value.
When you walk down Portland Street, you still have this intact, small town sort of main street that is lovely in terms of vibe and that kind of human scale feeling. And, you know, that's worth preserving, right? It's worth there's something unique there that doesn't get built today in modern constructions.
Important elements for the district include views of the harbour from Portland and Ochterlony streets. The Dartmouth Ferry is also the oldest saltwater ferry in North America and the second oldest in the world. The city has 3 active heritage districts right now on the Halifax side of the harbour, including Barrington Street. But the designation doesn't freeze development. It ensures new projects fit the area.
I think it gives us an opportunity to grow downtown Dartmouth in a very kind of responsible and progressive way. We'll be able to maintain a lot of the built heritage, but at the same time opening up space and for to increase the population with new developments as well.
2 public information meetings will take place this year, where residents can weigh in on the new rules. A final plan is expected to come back to council next year. What else would you tell anyone visiting or from here about why they should come to downtown Dartmouth?
Oh, because it's the best. It's easy. Just come and see for yourself. Come on. Yeah.
Haley Ryan, CBC News, Dartmouth.
The number of designated comfort centres available during a disaster in Cape Breton Regional Municipality is growing. CBRM councillors approved 6 more sites, and the Emergency Management Office says more are coming later this year. Until post-tropical storm Fiona in 2022, CBRM did not name the sites ahead of time. Officials were worried residents could be heading to centres that could be damaged. Now, the municipality is listing them publicly, but warning residents that operating hours will vary depending on the disaster and availability of volunteers. Many of the comfort centres are currently in fire halls, but other community organizations are also in talks to have their buildings designated. More students will now be able to receive farmers market vouchers under the Nova Scotia Loyal program. Students from pre-primary to grade 12, as well as post-secondary students and new Nova Scotians, will receive $10 vouchers under the expanded program. The vouchers will be sent out this month to all public schools. Students at post-secondary institutions will receive vouchers in the fall. The province says the program has shifted into more of a promotional model aimed at connecting Nova Scotians with local producers.
Whether they're at a farmer's market or now in large grocers or in Carl's store or wherever it may be. And it is looking at the opportunities that Nova Scotia Loyal has given to different companies to give, open the door and get them on the store shelves that perhaps they would not have had otherwise.
The vouchers can be redeemed toward any locally grown, harvested, or crafted product at farmers markets and until the end of the year. The province estimates just over 215,000 students and new Nova Scotians will receive vouchers. A garden project in Donkin is being recognized for its contribution to the community. The Coal Coast Community Garden provides people with fresh and free fruits and vegetables, all in an effort to fight food insecurity. The CBC's Anna Rack has that story.
Carrots, beans, spinach, and kale are just some of the veggies being grown in the Coal Coast Community Garden. The garden is tended to by volunteers, but enjoyed by the community as a whole. The garden has become so vital for the community that the Cape Breton Regional Municipality recently awarded the garden the Gary MacDonald Memorial Award for outstanding volunteer service. Daniel Dillon and his wife Libby started the garden.
I think it's 11 kilometers to the nearest grocery store. So people who don't have their means of transportation, if they can come here and get fresh fruits and vegetables, or if they can grow their own, they're more than welcome to have whatever they want.
Dillon and his volunteers distribute food to fight food insecurity in the community. Elaine Shea is one of those volunteers. She also helps take care of the garden throughout the year.
Well, to be able to be appreciated for what we're doing, even though we are volunteering and we're having fun while we're doing it, but to be awarded was wonderful.
The garden is on Donkin School grounds, also giving the opportunity to students to get their hands dirty. They plant the seeds in class and are then moved to the garden. Once grown, they get to enjoy their harvest. The students enjoy the garden for many different reasons.
I like that it helps the environment and makes the air more fresh and helps our community.
I'd say getting to spend time with my classmates and teachers, being outside and all, and then getting to harvest them at the end.
Probably the fact that I get free carrots and food.
Yeah, growing the carrots outside, they're the best.
The Coal Coast Community Garden continues to grow. Plans are in the works for a fruits and vegetables stand nearby. So whenever they are available, the community can stop by and get some fresh produce. Anna Rack, CBC News, Donkin.
A landmark grocery store in Head of Jador closed its doors for the last time at 6 o'clock this evening. The modest Sobeys in the Eastern Shore Village has been a fixture there for decades. For locals, it was as much a meeting place as it was a place to buy groceries. It's been replaced by a more modern Foodland that was built just across the parking lot. Preston Mulligan gives us this final look inside a community hub.
I'm going to come here at 5:45 tonight. It's closing at 6. I'm going to buy the last bag of chips or the last chocolate bar or the last onion or the last banana. I don't care. I'm walking through the store at 5:45.
Why is that important to you?
I think I'm a bit of a sentimentalist.
Yeah.
I'm simple, but I'm very complex, I think. That's what my wife says, so. Well, when we moved here, our daughters were 6 years old and 4 years old. Now they're grown up, and their children are grown up. And the only thing constant in life is change, but change is bittersweet sometimes. It's a simple little store. You get to know all the cashiers, and yeah, we'll like the new store. I know we will, but I think there'll be a little tang of regret for the closing of this old store.
I mean, when you walk through it, it doesn't look like much. It looks a little bit, doesn't look like a modern grocery store, right?
It's not, and I think that was part of the appeal, because you didn't have to ask too many questions to find what you were looking for. And if you needed help, somebody would be there, you know, right away.
I think they're going to miss it just because it was a dependable store, a friendly store that you knew everybody and they knew you, called you by name, and, you know, I think that people had respect, and I would rather go there than, you know, keep our money at home instead of traveling all the way into town. Yeah.
And you worked there?
I did. I worked there, yeah.
Tell me about that. When?
That was probably, I can't remember exactly how many years, but probably 30 years when it first opened. Yeah, I was one of the cashiers when it first opened up, yeah.
What was it like?
Totally enjoyed it. Loved it, yeah.
What do you think the community will miss about it once it closes 6 o'clock today?
You know, I'm not sure they're really going to miss it. The older ones will, just because the new scale store, you know, but there is a lot of people looking forward to the new store also. Yeah. So, yeah.
Quick shot from our harbor cam. Halifax Ferry there in motion. Ryan Snoddon back with your full weather forecast in just a couple of moments. All right, we've been putting some big numbers up for temperatures in Nova Scotia today, and more to come. That's the good news there.
Yeah, it's summer-like warmth, and you know that it's summer-like warmth when patio season begins, and that's where we're going to begin with this forecast. Have a look. This is our webcam video.
Pretty nice spot to be tonight, huh?
Quarter deck and folks on the patio enjoying an oceanside view in Somerville, Nova Scotia. This is such a great spot.
Sounds nice, looks nice, feels great tonight as well, I'm sure.
Yeah. We can just hang on this shot.
Why don't we just go there now? Yeah.
Yeah. Have a look at the high temperatures today. And yeah, a bit of a sea breeze along that south shore. But hey, who cares when it's still into the teens comfortably there. Have a look at including the entire Maritime picture here to show you that we had our first 30s of the season in the Maritimes today. New Brunswick is almost always the first to hit the 30 mark. And yes, today, no exception. Miramichi, Bathurst, Charlotte there at the Campbellton, near Campbellton, and Edmundston all hitting 30 today. Yeah, so first of the season, that's a big check that we're on certainly underway and heading in the right direction. You can see that temperatures out there right now. Yeah, bit of a sea breeze along that Atlantic coastline, no doubt. 16 in Halifax, 14 in Lunenburg, but 19, and that's 23 at the Caribou Point Station. That is currently our hotspot right now. Port Hawkesbury at 22. Current winds, yes, they've been breezy today in from the west to southwest. They won't be quite as strong for tomorrow, and so that will help the temperatures warm a little bit more. You can see howling right now in through the Tantramar Marsh area, Amherst, and that neck of the woods where we're seeing some gusts in the 50 to 60 range. Couple of showers that have been clipping through Cape Breton this afternoon. You folks, a much better day for tomorrow with that front moving out and lots of sunshine on tap for Cape Breton with warmer temperatures. Note this frontal boundary continues to track now into Winnipeg at 20 degrees and Churchill at 0, Iqaluit at -1. That's where the cold air, Regina at 10 degrees. So that cooler air is going to be working its way eastward. We're going to tap into it. No doubt, and unfortunately, timing out for the weekend. Boy, it would have been nice to string like yesterday, today, tomorrow, or even into the Friday, for those 3 weekend days. But hey, for the second night in a row, I've got some sun in the mix for the nighttime forecast. Oh boy. So yeah, that's not going to happen. Obviously, we've got temperatures anywhere from about 10 to 14 degrees, as mild as 14 for parts of the north. So it'll be a much milder start to the morning on Thursday. Some fog patches in the mix, but because we're going to get that head start temperature-wise, that'll also help to spring our temperatures even warmer for tomorrow. Note the clouds building up a little bit into the afternoon, but still a solid mix of sun and cloud after a mostly sunny start. Let's dive into what we're all waiting for, those temperatures. So I think we'll be into the 24 range from the Bredor Lakes back towards Sydney with this westerly flow. It is going to be cooler. Cheticamp rather, back through down to Port Hood. But Port Hawkesbury near 23. Onshore wind for Canso, 25 to 27, Sherbrooke to Antigonish. And yes, Antigonish is likely going to be our hotspot tomorrow, but pretty close. Pictou, New Glasgow, Enfield, back towards Windsor. Halifax, again, will be cooler right along the coast, but I think in and around the peninsula, it should be ranging between about 20 to 24 degrees. So really, really nice. And back into the valley region, 22 to 24. Again, cooler in those onshore west to southwest winds along the water, Yarmouth near 18. So there's the front that we're watching for Friday. Note as we move into the afternoon, the winds will shift to northerly here, and so that will drop temperatures for that North Shore. Isolated shower chances bubbling up here into the afternoon for the south and west, and there is a chance along the front as it comes through. And so these temperatures will be dropping for New Glasgow and that North Shore into the afternoon, but still into the 20s in the south and west. So the setup for Saturday, high pressure anchored over Newfoundland. That southeast flow will keep temperatures a bit cooler, especially along the Atlantic coastline. Looks like maybe some drizzle along the south shore. Some fog patches there also, but some sunny breaks, especially for inland areas. And I think the valley and the North Shore could hit 17 or 18 degrees on Saturday afternoon. Cooler along the Atlantic coastline. Sunday looks like our wettest day of the long weekend. Good chance for showers kind of marching west to east across the province. Isolated, more scattered, I should say, showers on tap for Monday under pretty cloudy skies. And those temperatures really bottoming out into early next week. So enjoy the warmth the next couple of days, Tom.
We will do that for sure. Okay, Ryan, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Coming up, a look at what's to come for the 2 Nova Scotia MPs appointed to Mark Carney's new cabinet. Of Prime Minister Mark Carney's new 28-member cabinet, 2 are from Nova Scotia. Sean Fraser is the new Justice Minister, Attorney General, and Minister in charge of ACOA, and Lena Metlich-Diab is the Minister of Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. Lori Turnbull is a professor with Dalhousie University's Faculty of Management. Ms. Turnbull, does having 2 MPs at the cabinet table necessarily mean Nova Scotia gets any more attention?
Not necessarily. It's the type of thing where these portfolios are significant portfolios, like a Minister of Justice and Attorney General. That's a serious appointment, as immigration, citizenship, and refugees for sure. But they're not necessarily going to give a special regional lens or a special provincial lens. It's not. It does typically doesn't really work that way. But Sean Fraser is also the minister for COA. So if there was a regional lens, I think it'd probably be there.
Okay. Why is this happening then, do you think? I mean, how much of this is because of a lack of Liberal strength in other parts of the country? How much is it about Nova Scotia?
I mean, I think that it is the type of thing where Mark Carney really worked to get back the support of a lot of Atlantic Canadians. I think that it was an area of the country that typically goes Liberal and or at least to a large extent, not entirely. And then under Justin Trudeau's leadership, people really were not happy. A lot of people were packing up and going to vote somewhere else. The Conservatives ran some really strong candidates in the area. A lot of races, as we know, came right down to the wire in Atlantic Canada, including, I think, the closest one in Newfoundland that is going to recount. So there's definitely a sense that it was a really strong two-party race in the area. And I think Carney is kind of wanting to make sure that the area feels recognized and feels seen and heard now that the results are in and the Liberals did really well. And I also think, honestly, Sean Fraser comes back to the cabinet with the experience that he's had in a number of portfolios. I don't think that Carney was going to give him housing again, and I don't think he was going to give him immigration again. And I think Fraser has made the point about wanting to spend more time with his family. And I think Minister of Justice, Attorney General, that doesn't involve a whole lot of travel. And so it's probably easier to strike a work-life balance. And Minister Diab has been in that portfolio at the provincial level. And so, of course, a different lens at the federal level, but still she's got experience.
Yeah, Lena Mettledge-Diab takes on some of the thorny issues of immigration. How does she, what kind of things is she going to be looking at? I mean, obviously, striking a balance between making sure population growth doesn't outpace infrastructure, for example, which has been a complaint or a concern in the country. But at the same time, for example, in this region, keeping the universities happy by loosening up some of the restrictions on accepting foreign students, particularly in this region. So what kind of challenges does she face?
Definitely. I mean, I think this is one of the things that the previous Liberal government under Trudeau really faced a lot of criticism for, in that from the first moment of their mandate, they wanted to show this compassionate state through the immigration policy by saying, we want people to come to Canada. We are a welcoming place. And so really committed to having a lot of people come for humanitarian reasons, but also for economic reasons. But there was a sense that we haven't balanced the immigration policy with housing policy. We invite people to come and then we don't have anywhere for them to live. And so I think this is actually a really tall order. This is a file that a lot of people are going to be watching to see whether Carney is able to do better, honestly, right? Because as much as people can say this was the right motivation, it was a good idea to have an immigration policy that is very welcoming, but yet you have to balance it with infrastructure. You have to actually be able to go through with it. So I think there are going to be those issues. I think there's going to be a lot of interaction with partners, with universities, with provinces, with municipalities also to talk about the various issues around settlement and to make sure that we're doing this right.
All right, and as you mentioned, Sean Fraser back into politics, back into the federal cabinet. How do the Prime Minister strike that balance between not being the old Justin Trudeau cabinet, but also trying to bring some people like Fraser back who has some experience, who might be that tone or that voice around the table?
Yeah, so like Carney, I think had the challenge of trying to take advantage of the experience that he had that was there for him from Trudeau's cabinet, but at the same time wanting to put his own people. I think that's one reason why we see such a large cabinet when you add up all of the ministers and also the secretaries of state. It allows him to keep a lot of the experienced people and then yet add enough of his own that it looks like his cabinet, and it is his cabinet, not just in perception, but in reality too. I don't think personally that Sean Fraser is someone who really, was one of the ones who is so marked by the Trudeau banner that he's always going to be seen as a Trudeau minister. Some may disagree, but I don't think that that's the case. Someone like Mark Miller, who was in Justin Trudeau's wedding party, someone like Chrystia Freeland, who was, by his side the whole time, until that very dramatic day where she wasn't. Those people are far more carrying that Trudeau banner, it seems to me, than Sean Fraser is.
All right. And just quickly before I let you go, the Prime Minister snubbing some former cabinet ministers, and I'm thinking of Kings Hants MP Cody Blois here. That must make things awkward. No, I mean, I know it's business has to be done here, but that must make things a little uncomfortable in Parliament Hill at some point.
Well, at the risk of sounding like a jerk, the Prime Minister chooses who's in the cabinet, and the Prime Minister chooses who's not in the cabinet. And there are all kinds of reasons why he might choose the people he chooses, but that's part of the game you play. And honestly, I don't think anybody should be running for office because they think they're going to be a cabinet minister, because most people aren't. I don't think that's why Cody Blois ran for office. Like, not at all. And actually, he's not one of the ones who's going public with their disappointment. I don't know how he feels about it, but like Nate Erskine Smith, for example, is saying, he feels disrespected because Carney didn't pull him into cabinet. Listen, like, we're in an emergency situation. The Prime Minister is the one who makes the decisions about that, and everybody knows it. And I'm sorry, but it's a very poor look when people start saying they feel disrespected because they're not in cabinet. It's the Prime Minister's decision.
Okay, and for the record,
Cody
Blois saying for the record that he's happy to work with Prime Minister Mark Carney going forward. Lovely
That's the
talking
right
to you.
way.
Yeah, you're right. Nice talking to you, Roy Turnbull. Thank you so much.
Thank you, too.
Coming up, Prime Minister Mark Carney meets with his newly selected cabinet as the government grapples with a host of challenges. And Donald Trump is in Qatar, continuing his tour of the Middle East after announcing plans to lift punishing U.S. sanctions on Syria. Welcome back. The freshly minted Liberal cabinet has held its inaugural meeting, and the first order of business was to deliver a tax cut, one that Prime Minister Carney says will lead to more than $800 in savings for two-income households. The CBC's Evan Dyer looks at how the new government's economic agenda may play out.
It's my pleasure on behalf of the cabinet to sign this order to deliver that tax cut.
The first official act of Mark Carney's new cabinet was to sign off on a middle-class tax cut to come into effect by July 1st. His new finance minister says the government expects other parties to back the measure.
So this is a way for all parliamentarians to show up and say, yes, we support Canadians at a time where they need a break.
But while many Canadians will see a tax break, it turns out they won't be seeing a budget anytime soon. The first clear breakdown of spending and revenues will be a less detailed fall economic statement.
The first thing you do is the first step of this government is a middle-class tax cut. That's the first thing. You start with that. Then you say, well, you need to have a throne speech to say what are the priorities of the government. And once you've done that, then you do an economic statement, which is going to be the fall economic statement.
For Alberta to realize its true energy potential, we need the federal government to get out of the way.
There were more signs this morning that Alberta's Premier Danielle Smith is spoiling for a fight with the federal government over pipelines and national unity.
I've let the new Prime Minister know in no uncertain terms that we need Team Canada to be on Team Alberta for once. We need guaranteed corridor and port access to tidewater off the Pacific, Arctic and Atlantic coast.
Like Poilievre yesterday, Smith took aim at the inclusion of anti-pipeline activist Stephen Guilbeault in the cabinet, although his new cabinet post, Culture, has nothing to do with energy or pipelines. And today, Guilbeault took the bait.
As far as I know, there are no investors right now. There are no companies that are saying that they want to build an east-west pipeline. And as you know, these things are built by companies, not government.
But the only minister from Saskatchewan said he was in cabinet with a different agenda.
The whole premise is to make sure that all levels of government understand what frustrates our province. And I think the Prime Minister has a good handle on that.
While Carney was elected mainly to handle the relationship with Washington, the relationship with the provinces, and especially with Alberta and Saskatchewan, looks likely to consume a lot of his attention. Evan Dyer, CBC News, Ottawa.
Donald Trump's rhetoric about calling this country the 51st state has forced a rethink on Canada's defense spending. The NATO requirement is 2% of GDP, but it is a difficult target to hit. The CBC's David Common shows us why.
Ramping up defense spending became a key issue during the federal election. Now comes the hard part. To build back Canada's military capability, we face several challenges. The first is money. To reach the NATO minimum of 2% of GDP, Canada needs to find up to $15 billion extra every year. Polling suggests a majority accept or support paying more in tax to give the military more funding. And that brings us to the next challenge, using the new money to rapidly buy new military equipment.
Our procurement system has been built to operate in a way that's slow, and we've lost that perspective about the importance of actually buying gear for the military as we satisfy all these other considerations and concerns. You're not going to get there without a serious change to business as it's usually happening in Ottawa.
Yeah, we don't even have to talk about ships or planes, the expensive stuff. I mean, what's the story with the pistols? Didn't they take forever?
Pistols took forever, truck projects took forever. I mean, there's a whole series of things the Army's trying to buy that it's had money for since 2017 and hasn't really moved very far. We have, for reasons that just astonish me, not been able to sign a contract to make more ammunition in this country, despite having ammunition production facilities, a clear need in Ukraine, and a clear need in Canada's own armed forces.
Next challenge, Canada's military is already really far behind. Canada has sent vast quantities of its own weapons and equipment to Ukraine, depleting our own resources without replacing them immediately.
So we actually don't have a lot on the shelf. The Defense Department's own statistics basically show that only 1 in 2 pieces of equipment or ships or airplanes are actually ready to go right now.
Canada's frigates, the primary ship in the Navy, are older than most of the sailors on board. Same can be said for the pilots of CF-18 fighter aircraft, and in both of those roles, there aren't enough people either. That strikes at what the military calls readiness, the ability to deploy soldiers and equipment when and where needed. It's supposed to be at 90%. Instead, it's been at 40%. In no small part because the Canadian military is short 12,000 people. And the federal government had already proposed growing its ranks. By that measure, it needs vastly more personnel.
You can't flick a switch and turn somebody into a professional soldier overnight. How long does it actually take to price them into the system?
Well, it takes a while. You know, there's recruitment, there's basic training. It's not just land, sea, and air anymore. There's cyberspace, land, sea, and air. So there's new forms of training that need to be developed, new equipment, new capacity, new security frameworks and security strategies that have to chart out the pathway.
In short, strengthening Canada's military is not just about spending money. It would be a gargantuan effort that would have to be approached with urgency, at the same time recognizing they could move fast on some things, but other aspects would take years to restore military capability.
That report from the CBC's David Common. Prime Minister Mark Carney has appointed BC MP and former fighter pilot Stephen Fuhr to be Canada's Secretary of State for Defence Procurement. Donald Trump is praising Syria's new leader after a historic in-person meeting. The U.S. president is visiting the Middle East, where he's receiving praise of his own for a series of promises. The CBC's Chris Brown has the details.
Ahmed al-Sharah's journey is nothing short of astounding. In just 5 months, he's gone from militant with a bounty on his head to an endorsement from the President of the United States. Saudi officials released silent video and images of Donald Trump meeting with Syria's president and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Riyadh.
We are currently exploring normalizing relations with Syria's new government, as you know. Good luck, Syria. Show us something very special.
Trump's surprise announcement, urged by Turkey and his Saudi hosts, that he would end punishing U.S. sanctions imposed against the former Assad regime, generated his biggest round of applause over his 2-day visit to Riyadh. Sharah, the one-time al-Qaeda militant and U.S. prisoner who pushed Assad out, impressed Trump.
Great. I think very good. Young, attractive guy, tough guy.
Syria is fragile, with border areas occupied by Israel, and Sharah has a huge challenge keeping sectarian divisions from pulling the country apart. In the capital, Damascus, though, many celebrated the U.S. move, hoping the end of sanctions will mean an end to international isolation. From today, money transfers will be easier, said exchange employee Amar Kalaji. Same with IT, says Mohai Eldin Al-Sayed. We couldn't obtain licenses for any servers or firewalls simply because we're in Syria. On his trip, Trump has talked up the immense business possibilities that exist in the region, and at his next stop, Qatar, his hosts were ready with pen and paper to sign an enormous contract for new jets from Boeing. Trump heard repeatedly when he was here that the region needs peace to be prosperous, and he said he urged Syria's leader to recognize Israel. But Israel has been one of the few countries urging Trump to keep the sanctions on. It's been referring to al-Sharah as a terrorist. Chris Brown, CBC News, Riyadh.
Health officials in Gaza say Israeli airstrikes have killed at least 80 people, many of them women and children. The strikes also hit a hospital complex in Han Yunis. Israel says it was targeting a Hamas leader. Trent Murray has more from Tel Aviv.
We are tracking a significant uptick in the number of airstrikes across Gaza. The Israeli Air Force launching airstrikes across several locations in the Strip, including in the north around the Jabalia refugee camp. But much of the focus right now is on a particular set of strikes on the European hospital. Now, this is an EU-funded health facility in the south near Khan Yunis. The IDF has confirmed that they launched a number of strikes there. Video from Palestinian media shows large craters around that hospital. It is thought that up to 9 bunker-busting bombs were used. Now, the IDF says that they were targeting what they describe as a underground Hamas command and control centre. Effectively, they are saying that there was a bunker underneath that hospital Many Israeli media outlets are reporting security sources here saying the target of those set of strikes was Mohammed Sinwar. Now, he is effectively the leader of Hamas within Gaza. He replaced his brother, Yahya Sinwar, who was killed by the IDF in October last year. Hamas is denying that he was at the facility at the time, but they have not provided proof of life at all as those questions come in. The IDF not officially commenting on who the target was specifically, other than saying it was underground. While all of this is happening, though, the humanitarian situation on the ground continues to cause real concern, particularly for the United Nations. They are now saying up to 500,000 people in Gaza are at risk of famine and starvation. We have heard from the UN Relief Chief, Tom Fletcher, who has told the UN Security Council that the situation is dire.
Israel is deliberately and unashamedly imposing inhumane conditions on civilians in the occupied Palestinian territory.
French President Emmanuel Macron has told French media overnight that what Benjamin Netanyahu is doing here is shameless by not allowing those essential goods into the people of Gaza. In the past few hours, we've heard a response from the Israeli Prime Minister. He has said the French President is on the side of Hamas. Trent Murray for CBC News, Tel Aviv.
RCMP say 2 bodies have been found in southeastern Manitoba dealing with a wildfire. The victims are an adult man and a woman.
While we cannot confirm their identities until an autopsy is completed, we were aware that these individuals have been trapped in the fire. Due to extreme conditions yesterday afternoon, emergency personnel were not able to reach the location until this morning.
The Lac de Bonny fire is just one of 24 active fires in the province. 6 are of note. Nearly 1,000 people in Manitoba have been evacuated. Officials have said the fires are spreading quickly, and they're now threatening the borders with Saskatchewan and Ontario. Out-of-province water bombers have been deployed for support. Now to the latest in the NHL playoffs. The Winnipeg Jets are on the brink of elimination. Michael Granlund accounting for all of Dallas' scoring in this one. A 3-1 win for the Stars over the Jets. The Dallas Stars now lead the series 3-1. The Jets are yet to win on the road throughout these playoffs. 5 straight losses away from home. But they're back in Winnipeg tomorrow night for Game 5, hoping to extend the series. 2 Canadian teams are on the ice tonight. The Oilers are in Vegas with a chance to wrap up their series. And the Leafs host Florida with their series tied 2-2. Canada's main stock index made modest gains today, while U.S. markets were mixed as investors weighed what might come next in trade disputes. As we head to commercial break, here's a look at where things closed. Popular guy these last couple of days for sure, Ryan. I mean, no one is complaining about the weather in Nova Scotia.
No, not yet.
No. Give him a couple of days. Wait till the weekend rolls around.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's so variable this time of year, and we get these windows. It's just too bad that we can't plan them out for the weekend, right? Because
timing is everything.
Timing is everything. Have a look at our viewer picture of the day. This a beautiful spot, Tom. Of course, St. Margaret's Bay and Mason's Point. And Mark Doucette with an absolutely beautiful picture here.
Picking up the reflections on the water nicely there.
Yeah. Thanks to Mark for this. Ryan's picks at cbc.ca, or you can tag me on the social media feeds. So that's a great pick. And this is a great forecast for Thursday. Temperatures will range between 22 and 26 degrees.
Sounds weird, doesn't it? But
it really does. It really does. The first widespread summer-like day. If you can extend the lunch break a little bit, maybe a walk around the building. Highly recommend because Thursday is going to be the pick of the next, couple of weeks, I think. Not seeing anything that's going to match that in a while. Have a look at the forecast for Friday. So you can see the temperatures. Sydney, Port Hawkesbury, and New Glasgow will be, looks like those will be the highs, likely mid-morning, let's say, even maybe late morning towards the Pictou, New Glasgow area. And then those northeast winds are going to have temperatures falling throughout the day. Truro will see a temperature fall. Halifax, Kentville, maybe late day, with a chance for a couple of isolated showers as that frontal boundary does move through. And there it is there, and it will be shifting our winds to northeasterly as it moves through, with a chance for an isolated shower as it does. Saturday, southwest drizzle and fog, but overall a quiet day, damp for Sunday, Tom.
Okay, there you have it. Thanks, Ryan. Italy's Mount Etna created a fiery display in the night sky as it erupted last night.
Wow.
Spectacular. The eruption dazzled onlookers over Sicily, but it wasn't all about the fiery show of lava. Rumblings from those explosions were felt in towns more than an hour away.
Mount Etna is one of Europe's most active and tallest volcanoes. Authorities said the current eruption did not impact operations at nearby airports.
You have to think about that. That's it for us tonight. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good night.